I've put over 600 hours into Battlefield 6 and I can tell you right now, the default settings are some of the worst I've ever seen. You can't see your enemy because your game is too bright and your controller feels like it's moving through mud. But after spending more than 600 hours playing Battlefield, I have finally found the perfect settings so you don't have to. In today's video, we'll go over the best graphic and controller settings to help you get more kills and become a better Battlefield player. Let's dive in. I will have timestamps throughout this video, so if there's a section you want to completely skip, feel free to do that. So again, accessibility tab, we'll go down to the color profiles, okay? What's good about this game is you can completely customize the colors of your game. So for example, if you're playing Conquest, you know, your ticket count for your team, the enemy team, those colors can be changed. Your weapon overlay in the bottom right could be changed. Your squad color can be changed. Every color can be changed in this game. This is how I have mine set up. If you don't want to make any adjustments, I do highly suggest you just pick the same color, but make it a little bit brighter. You want these colors to really stand out, okay? So for my primary color, I have this teal. Player color is green, and I believe this is default. My friendly color, this is one that I changed. This is going to be the color that's going to show up again, like if you're playing Conquest in the top of your screen, left side of it. This color is what's going to change out, the friendly color, okay? Squad color, this is a default, but I did make it a little bit brighter. The enemy color, same thing. It's going to be at the top of your screen. The enemy ticket count, that's going to be that color. I put mine to yellow. The neutral color, this blue, this is what I changed it to, like a little bit lighter blue. Just I like the way it looked. So again, this is going to be like the color for like the bottom right hand of your screen. For you RedSec players, I highly suggest you change this color to something bright. So that way, when you're playing and you go into a building, you can kind of hear a crate. You know, sometimes when you get close to it, you can kind of see that little dot that like shows you where the crate is. If you have this to a bright color, it's going to be easy to see and you'll be able to find that crate super fast. This accent color, I believe this is default. I didn't change this. The soft armor hit, this is default. I didn't change this. For RedSec, I did change this to a purple just so I know when I'm hitting armor hits. And the warning color is going to be red. Backing out of this, we can kind of go up to the master volume here. We'll go over more of the audio settings once we get to that tab. But for this video, I just turned it down to 12 just so you're not hearing in the background. Usually I have this set at 100. So we're going to scroll down. The next thing we're going to go over is camera effects, okay? So the motion blurs, you don't want any type of blurs in this game. It's just kind of nonsense. Turn it completely off. Infantry HUD motion off. Camera shake, we don't want any type of camera shake. It's distracting. Turn it all the way down. There's no way to put it to 0. So just put it all the way down to 50. The reduce count, the sprint camera bobbling, I have that. Reduce sprint camera bobbling, I have that on so your camera's not moving around like crazy. And both of these bottom ones, I turn them off. Next up, the controls, the hold and toggle. Again, some of these are default. I will point out the ones that are important. I did leave my double tap forward to auto sprint. I have an auto sprint, so all I gotta do is push my left stick up and my character is gonna automatically start sprinting. If you change this to auto sprint, it might take a little bit to get used to. It might be kind of weird at first, but I promise you, changes this to auto sprint, it's gonna make your controller and the gameplay feel so much smoother. Stick forward sprint I have on. This stick forward sprint time, I can't remember what this number is by default, but whatever it is, you want to put it down to very 0, because you don't want any time of delay when you're pushing your stick up. You want it to automatically sprint. This crouch toggle sprint, you want this is a personal preference. It's either stand or crouch. This vehicle boost, I left it at that. Crouch slide toggle is on, or sorry, not on, all. Double tap crouch to sprint slide have off. These weapon holds are default. I left this. This interact and reload, I have mine for prioritize interact, so that way when I play RedSec, all I have to do is push my interact button once and it's gonna take priority over that. If you don't play a lot of RedSec, you could leave this at, I think by default it's prioritize reload. So this is personal preference. I just leave mine to interact. Interacts at toggle, skip revive toggle, request revive toggle. All of these I believe are just default here, so we're gonna scroll down. The next one, can I just go down to controller again? We'll go over this more once we get down to the controller section, but since we're here, we'll just kind of go over it here. Vibration, don't want any type of vibration. For me, I feel like it kind of throws off my aim off a little bit. Like I said, it's nothing crazy, just on or off, doesn't really matter. I put mine on off. Since I have mine off, I have the intensity all the way off. Vibration settings, I think it's just, these are all default. It doesn't really matter because I have it off. The adaptive triggers, so I play with the PlayStation DualSense Edge, and it does have adaptive triggers. So like say if I'm ADSing and I'm shooting a gun, it'll like give me a little bit of tension on my triggers. Don't want that, turn it off. Same thing with this gyro, I've disabled. You don't want a gyro. In this, the player incoming text speed I have off. This is off. Main tutorials, I have this all off, and the hints I also have all off. I don't want any weird hints popping up when I'm playing the game. It's not necessary. All right, now moving on to the gameplay tab. Some of these are that important, but since we're here, we're just kind of quickly go over it. This global, it's all default. I didn't change any of it. Campaign difficulty, I left it at regular. But to be completely honest, I haven't even played the campaign one time. Now, let me know down in the comments if you guys are the same way, if you guys just bought the game, jumped right into multiplayer and RedSec. If you guys have played the campaign, let me know down in the comments if it's actually worth playing. All right, now moving on to the hints here. Got the show HUD prompts. I have as an on. I think these are default. I haven't changed any of these really. We'll just kind of skip over that. All right, scrolling down here to the infantry. The infantry aim sensitivity. Now, there are a few controller settings that are very important that I want to point out. This one is one of them, okay? I highly suggest you keep this at a lower number. If you watch other videos on streamers that, you know, play this game full time, you know, they have really good muscle memory, they're able to have this at like 60, 70, which is completely insane. For me, that's too fast. 45 is perfect for me. In this game, the time to kill is super fast. And first of all, you need to have good centering. But if you don't have, if your centering is decent, but you have a high sensitivity, it's going to be super hard for you to stay on target. And you know, you're going to be missing shots like crazy. So I highly suggest you keep this at a lower number. Start at 45. If it's too slow, you can adjust it. You can adjust from there. If you want help on trying to find a perfect sensitivity, I do have a few drills that I will show at the end of this video. Scrolling down, infantry aim sensitivity for mouse. I left it at 35. I don't play mouse very often. Auto sprint, I think this is all. We went over most of this stuff here. Parachute, auto deployment, tethered. This roll right here, the roll camera and landing roll. Turn this off. What this is gonna do is, you know, sometimes you jump off building, and if you hit your jump button, as soon as you hit the ground, it's gonna roll. If you have this is on, you're gonna see the camera. It's gonna like roll with it, and it's really distracting. It's ridiculous. Turn this off. Mount type up only. Mount breakout instant. I think these are all just this peak tap right here. I changed this, so this is gonna be if you're down behind cover and you kind of lift your gun a little bit, you're gonna see that your gun's gonna raise a little bit, and all you have to do is hit your ADS button. He's automatically gonna pop up and peak. I like to just put this to up only. Prioritize interact. I'm pretty sure we went over this. I love interact here. Vehicle aim sensitivity, we'll go over this more once we go to the controller settings. So HUD, show HUD, I have on. I have these motions off, the horizontal padding. What this is gonna do is it's gonna adjust it here. It's gonna bring it in closer. If you do that, it's gonna cover your screen. You don't want that. So we're gonna have this all the way at the lowest number, so that way it's, you know, you want the bit of your screen as free as possible. Show overlays are all default to left and wall on. So is filter on. The advanced HUD and icon settings, we'll kind of click in here real quick. The big map opacity, this is what's going to do. It's gonna, if you have it a higher number, it's gonna show up more on your screen. Lower number, it's gonna be more like transparent. These kill feed, these are all just kind of personal preference. You kind of just, I'll kind of just scroll down. You could go over there if you want. Icons and indicators, icon intensity. I think default this is like 50. I put all the way up at 100, so that way if you're, you know, if there's a recon on your team and they're spotting people, the little diamond above their head is gonna show up, you know, super bright. We want that. Vehicle icon intensity up to 45. The objective icons, I messed with these a little bit. I feel like these are kind of perfect here. 80, 50, 40, and 10. I'm gonna scroll down here to the friendly icons here. I made some adjustments to these ones, so feel free to copy and paste. Same thing with the squad icons. None of this is really that important here. Same thing with these, the ping ones, aim icons. Like, yeah, I think this whole bottom half, I just left this default, not that important. We'll move on. All right, now moving on to the controller settings here. These are, you know, very important. This is what's gonna, you know, make or break your gameplay. If you're playing on the default settings, you're putting yourself at a crazy disadvantage. I bet your controller feels super sluggish and slow. I'm gonna fix that for you right now. So I play with the DualSense Edge. There's a few settings I'll go over that are really benefit, especially if you're playing with this controller. I will point these out as we go. So we're jumping the settings here. Everybody look, I have it off. Field of view, I have mine at 110. I feel like it's perfect. I wouldn't go, if you guys are playing on console and you guys are playing like on a TV, I would I suggest you bump this up a little bit. I wouldn't go maybe past 110 just because of the TV is so big. I wouldn't suggest that, but I play on a monitor. So if you're playing a monitor, perfect sweet spot is anywhere from 110 to 120. Wouldn't go any lower than that. You know, the lower you have, your screen's gonna be shrunken in, and you're not gonna be able to see if there's somebody closer to your left or right. All right, this is what's gonna look like if your field of view is at 85. I turn it all the way down just to show you guys here. Super zoomed in, you know, you can't see your targets better, but what this is going to do also is it's going to increase the visual shake, you know, of the guns, of your recoil. It's going to make your screen jump a lot more. That, and say if there's a guy to my left or right, you're not gonna be able to see them because, you know, the camera's so zoomed in, they're gonna be off to the side, they're gonna kill you. So this is what 85 looks like. I'm gonna go and change it to what I had it at 110. All right, so this is what 110 looks like. As you can see, it's a lot more zoomed out. You're able to see past this 5 a lot more, even onto this 50 over here number. And again, here, if you're aiming down sights here, the shake of your camera is a lot less. It's gonna feel like you have less recoil. All right, moving on from field of view, vertical aim ratio. I have this at 56 by default. I can't remember what it is by default, but I did change this number. For whatever reason, my vertical The zoom ratio is at 45. It's grayed out. I can't mess with this, so I just left it. Uniform aiming, I leave on. Zoom coefficient is default at 178. Your aim assist and your aim assist slowdown, you want this at 100%. Using a controller, you want every advantage that you can get. Now, one thing that I did change from my last controller settings video is I keep on going back and forth from standard to Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 4. I don't really feel too much of a difference. I feel like Battlefield 1 and 4, it's a little bit smoother when you're trying to make quick adjustments. But other than that, it's nothing too crazy. I've switched to standard. There's not too much of a difference, so I would suggest you go either standard or Battlefield 1 and 4. Those are your best bet. This acceleration, I just match it up with my standard. One other thing that I made an adjustment to from my last controller settings video is this acceleration. I felt like 20 was a little bit too sluggish. I put it at 10. It feels a lot smoother. This might be kind of hard to see here. So for this video, I'll put it up at 100 so you can kind of see it. This might be kind of hard to see. This is something you might have to mess with on your own. So what I'm going to do is it's going to accelerate at a slower speed here. And if we go back and I put this all the way down to what I had it at 10, over here, as you can see, it's a lot smoother. It just feels a lot smoother. It feels a lot more snappy. So the acceleration along with your dead zones are going to be the two that are going to make your controller feel super sluggish. Okay, so put this at 10, mess with it. If you feel like you like it, cool. If not, adjust as needed. When on a movement, I have this as toggle, double step forward. I have as auto sprint. It doesn't matter because I have just this right here. I have this on the stick forward sprint. So again, I'm just gonna push my stick up one time. It's automatically start sprinting. I highly suggest you try it. It might take some getting used to, but it just makes your gameplay feel so much smoother. Again, you want this set at 0. You don't want any delay from the time you push your stick for it to start sprinting. Sprint is L3, but I have an auto sprint, so it doesn't really matter. Crouch toggle sprint, I have it as stand. I believe we went over this already. Slide, I have a circle. Crouch slide all. Just go down here to zoom. We'll kind of go over these more once you go into the actual keybinds. But the only thing I really changed was my ADS and my fire button. I switched them from the back triggers to the front triggers. It's more comfortable for me. Steady scope I have is hold. And a pro tip here is I have mine set to L1, so that way if you're using a sniper rifle, all you have to do is hit your ADS button and he's automatically gonna steady the scope. You don't have to push an extra button for that. I think by default you hold down on, I think, R3 or your right stick, but this makes it so much easier. Now, one other thing I did make a change to that I'm still kind of messing with, but I do feel like 45 is good. The zoom aim sensitivity is different from the infantry aim sensitivity. What this setting right here is your ADS speed. So when you're ADSing, you have a sensitivity that's different from, obviously, from your aim sensitivity here. So if I'm moving here in ADS, you see how it gets slower? You don't want your aim sensitivity at a super high number because, again, you want to be hitting your shots, and a high number is not always good. It might make you feel like you're, moving around all quick and you're like super snappy. But in reality, if you don't stay on target and you don't hit your shots, it doesn't matter. You're just going to die. So for exaggeration here, if I think by default it's at 100. But let's just say if you wanted to go something crazy and you put it to like 170, you'll be able to see the difference like right away here. So this is my sensitivity, my infantry aim sensitivity. Now if I aim down sights, look at that. Look at how crazy that is. It's so much faster. Go back down to 45, and as you can see, it's a lot slower, okay? So like, again, this is one that I'm kind of messing with still, but I do feel like, I think in my other video, I had it like 85, which was, I was used to it, but at times I did feel like some of my shots were not hitting because I was moving my right stick a little bit too much and my right stick was too sensitive. So again, mine's at 45. You could try this here. You could adjust as needed. Since I play with the uniform aiming on, all of these zoom sensitivities, it doesn't really apply. It just kind of disables them. If you didn't play with the uniform aiming sensitivity on, like all these would be able to, you could adjust these to whichever you want. So for example, if you wanted your 1x red dot to be at a higher speed, you could do that. You can switch it all the way to like when you have like a sniper scope, it'll be, switch that to either slower or faster, whichever you want. But again, since I have uniform aiming on, none of these apply. This flick look, I don't play with flick look, but you can bind one of your controller buttons to, if you want to just hit a button and it's automatically going to turn around and flick to the other side. I don't play with it on, so we'll skip that. All right, moving on to the infantry and control mapping. Some of these I left as default. There are a few that I did change. I'll point this out here. For example, since I play with the DualSense Edge, my big map is my middle scroll wheel here. And the good thing about having a DualSense Edge controller is this swipe pad right here in the middle, this right here. So not only do I have the 2 buttons in the back, but if you're using this controller, you actually have another 4 swipes or 5 swipes just on this thumb pad here. So swiping up does something, swiping down, left, right, and then pushing it also does something. So this one touchpad right here is 5 different buttons. including the 2 on my back. Now I'll drop a link in the description if you guys want to pick up the controller. I don't get any commission or anything like that. I'm not affiliated with it, but it's a good controller. Somewhat serious about this game, I do suggest you get a controller like this. There is another one that's cheaper by gamesir that I'll link in the description also. I think it's like $80, but I do highly suggest you get a pro controller for the for the buttons in the back, so that way you're able to ADS jump at the same time. It just makes your gameplay feel so much smoother. All these are set as default here. My class, gadget, and grenade, these are the 2 that I did switch because by default they're bound to the front triggers. Since I aim and shoot my front triggers, I just switched those 2 to the back buttons. Well, I don't know, gyro here, movement is all pretty much the same here. The flick, look, I don't have any of this. Sprint, all these things is kind of like default. All right, so moving on to weapons and equipment here. Like I mentioned before, I switched my my ADS and fire button from my back triggers to my front. Rest of these are by default here. And my gadget 1 and my gadget 2, this is what I was talking about before on my swipe pad here. Since they can be used as buttons, I have them bound to swipe left and right. It's gonna pull my gadgets out, which is great, so I don't have to take my finger off my left stick, which is what you're moving around. I don't have to take it off that. I could just, as I'm running, I can switch to my gadgets with my, my right thumb. Same thing for my class gadget here. I have a swipe up, face gear, swipe down. Grenade is not bound because it's bound up there, up top here. And most of these are kind of default. I didn't mess with them. This is steady scope again. Be back out of here. Ground vehicles. And I'll be honest, the ground vehicles, I didn't really mess with too much. I don't really play ground vehicles. I'm mostly just infantry. I don't even remember if I even changed any of these, to be honest, but I just kind of scroll down here to see if you have the same thing, or if you want to like match it up here. Quickly go through that. Same thing with that. Same thing with the only thing I think I did change with the mapping with the ground vehicles is obviously my aim and fire button. I just put them to the front triggers here. Joystick. These are, I didn't mess with any of these except for my dead zones, which we'll kind of go over down here. So if we go to controller tuning, this is another one that's very important. So with the acceleration and your dead zones, okay, those 2 are gonna make your controller feel either super sluggish or super responsive. All right, if you watch my other videos, apologize, but I am gonna explain dead zones again because this might be somebody's first time watching the video. The center dead zone for the left stick and it's the center dead zone for the right stick are the ones that are most important here. Okay, so what dead zones are is how much tension I have to put on my thumbstick before my controller registers that I'm pushing it and it starts to go. If I go back over here, and let's just say for my left stick here, if I over exaggerate this and I put this all the way at max, okay, now I'll try to get this to video here. Hopefully you can see this all right. I'll do this here. So look how much tension it's going to take for me to put on my stick before my character actually starts to go. So I'm still going here, I'm still going. Now I'm completely almost all the way over on my stick and my character is barely starting to move. Okay, so again, let's get this in the camera here. I'm moving it. You can see here, look at that. I'm completely all the way over, and then my character starts to go. That's gonna make your guy feel so sluggish. You do not want that. The default controller settings in this game are probably the worst out of any game I've ever played before in my entire life. I'm not even exaggerating. I don't even know why they have the default set to the way they do, because like what a lot of people will do is they'll jump on the game if they want to try it out and they were like, oh man, these controller settings feel terrible, and they just jump off. I know a couple of my friends that do the same way. They jumped on, they couldn't find the the right controller settings and they jumped off. I think I've played it, I forget exactly how many hours I have in this game. I have like 5 something, I think like 6. It's taking me so long to find these settings that are perfect for me. They are very good settings. I highly suggest you copy them. You can make some adjustments as needed. Now if I put this at 0, now if we go back over here, now look how much tension I have to put on my stick here. Okay, look at that. I'm barely moving it and it's starting to go. Look at that, barely even moving the stick and he's starting to go. That's what you want. We want responsiveness. All right, so I put my back at 1.5. You want it at 1.5. Your axial, put it at 6, and your max threshold, put it at 100. Okay, so same thing for the right stick. You want it to match up exactly the same. If you lower the center dead zone for either of them and the controller's older, what's going to happen is you're going to have stick drift. So what that is going to do is when you're not moving, say if your hands aren't even on your thumbsticks and you have an older controller and you put your dead zones all the way down, I just jumped out of that, my bad. What's going to happen is your player is going to start to move on its own, and depending on if your controller is old or not, it might just barely move, it might move a bit. So what you could do is to adjust that is I would not go higher than probably like a 6. If you have to go higher on this on the center dead zones, so say if you're like at a 6 or like a 7 and your stick's still moving, I hate to break it to you, you might have to get another controller. Okay, it's either that or just, you know, stay with your sluggish controller. So for me, I had really bad stick drift. I had to have this all the way up to like a 5, so I finally broke down. I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna replace my thumbsticks. That's the good thing about the DualSense Edge is you don't have to buy another controller. You can just replace the thumbsticks, which are, I think they're like $40 maybe, or maybe less than that. But what happened was I replaced my thumbsticks, so they were completely brand new. I put this number all the way down to 0, and I still had stick drift. So that might have something to do with Battlefield 6, but there is something you do to fix it. Okay, so what I did was after I bought the thumbsticks and I put them in my controller, I downloaded, since I play on PC, I downloaded the PlayStation Accessories app. Okay, the PlayStation Accessories app. Let's see if I can actually kind of pull it up here. All right, here's the PlayStation Accessories app. So you go to PlayStation.com and you can just download this to your PC. If you're playing on PC, if you're playing on console, it's already there. But what you do is you can actually go into here and mess with your dead zones inside here. And when I did that, I felt like it was a lot smoother to adjust them inside of the app than to do it in game. So if I go here and you go to edit, you go to stick sensitivity and dead zone. Now, you'll be able to see here, if I put this dead zone all the way down to where it was, you see how this right side is moving right here? So these are brand new sticks and it's still moving, which in reality, it's not super noticeable in game. You're just gonna see like my right stick, it'll start to drag a little bit. But and one way to counteract that is I'm just gonna go in here, I'm gonna mess with this dead zone here until it stops moving. So boom, right there at 6. Same thing with my right stick. Put this up to 6 and 6. Now again, you can't do this in your game in the Battlefield 6 settings, but when you do it in the game, for whatever reason, it just makes your controller feel like even more sluggish. So even here, still put mine up to 1.5 because I felt like my controller was too responsive, which I didn't like. So in here, I just put it to 1.5. Like I said before, adjust your dead zones in the PlayStation app first, so you don't have any stick drift. And if you come in here and you still don't like it, you can adjust dead zones here. All right, moving on to graphics here. This is going to be very important, right? So we're down to the graphics quality settings, and I have mine set to custom here. The only two that are going to determine if your game looks really good or really crappy is, you know, these two right here, the texture quality and texture filtering. I have mine set to high. I feel like my game was smoother. Everything else is going to be set to low. In reality, is it going to make that much of a difference if you have everything set to max? I mean, if your computer is able to do that and you want your game to look good, you know, put it to max. It's not going to make that much difference. I, you know, tested having everything at max and have everything the way I have it set up now, and you know, to be honest, there was a slight difference. I did feel like my game played a lot smoother. I was getting a lot more frames if you cared about that, and the game looked just as good to me, honestly, than having everything at extreme. So like, again, personal preference, but these settings work really good for me. I highly suggest you kind of copy and paste these. So again, these two are at high, everything else is at low and off. So we're gonna back out of here. Well, brightness, I have it at 53. You don't want it too bright because as it is in a lot of the maps in this game, you know, the settings are super bright. Or not settings, the maps are super bright, you can't see. So 53 is perfect for me. UI brightness at 75, sharpness at 80. Scroll down here to the advanced tab here. The fixture resolution scale, I think by default is 100. I mess with that. And all of these right here are gonna be, I mean, none of this really matters here. This my upscaling quality, I have mine to performance. And then for this performance overlay here, if you can see at the top right of my screen, either those are green numbers here, that's what that is. You can, you know, adjust this and it can show you, you know, all your other, you know, benchmarks for your computer. If you care about that kind of thing, that just looks absolutely terrible. Or you can just have it as off. I just have mine as simple. All right, moving on to camera settings. I think we pretty much went over these and the control settings here. Full screen mode. You always want to play this on full screen. You don't want to do it mirrored or anything like that. It could drop your frames. And these are going to be kind of dependent on whichever monitor you're playing on here. Audio, master volume. Again, like I said, mine's just set at 100. I put it down for this video because I don't want that background noise. Music volume, I have it completely off. I mean, there's no reason to even have it on. It's kind of distracting. Oh, these are the kind of default. Controller speaker volume, I have this always set to off. My controller has a speaker in it. I don't want any sound coming from that. I have it off. And these are going to be, you know, personal preference with what you can hear from your headphones. Audio mix, I have mine on war tapes. It did used to sound good, but for whatever reason, the last like 2 or 3 weeks, the audio like completely, like it got like really bad. I can't even hear anyone sprinting next to me until they're shooting at me and killing me. So this is all personal preference. You know, it was good at war tapes. I put it at war tapes. Don't do it. It's personal preference. The voice chat, it's personal preference. You kind of just set this up to however you want it. You know, your microphone, you're gonna set it to your, if you want to open mic, you know, push to talk, whatever. I don't even know why mine's on open mic, which is kind of crazy. All right, here we are in this custom portal. I have 3 drills for you guys. These drills are gonna help you find the perfect sensitivity for you. First one we're gonna do is called following the bot. This is gonna help with your infantry sensitivity, not the aim sensitivity, just when you're like moving around the map here, okay? So we're gonna come back here, we're gonna free these targets, we're gonna pick a bot, and we're just gonna follow him here, okay? We wanna keep our center dot crosshair, you know, chest level with them the entire time. So as he starts to move here, I'm just gonna make sure I'm staying on target. and I'm not overshooting. All right, so I'm here following him. You see I'm able to stay on target with relative ease for the most part. Now, if you say, for example, if I'm following this guy here and every time he moves, so like when he moves and I'm trying to stay with him and I overshoot either left or right and I'm having trouble just, staying on him, that means your sensitivity is way too high. You have to lower it, okay? Keep on lowering it until you're able to stay on a bot and it's smooth, all right? Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, but we don't want to be overshooting way left and way right, because that just means your sensitivity is too high. You gotta lower it, all right? Next drill is gonna be the same thing, but now we're gonna be ADSing. This is gonna help with the infantry aim zoom sensitivity. I forget what it's called off the top of my head here. So pick a bot, same thing. We're gonna stay on target here. And I'm just gonna try to stay chest level with them, all right? Now again, if we're not able to stay with the bot here and we're overshooting constantly, that means our sensitivity is too high. You have to adjust it. So again, mine's at 45. My infantry sensitivity is at 45, and the aim sensitivity is at 45. I feel like it's perfect for me. So he's gonna keep on moving here. He's gonna stay on target here. You see, I'm able to kind of stay right on him. All right, now the last drill. It's gonna be pretty similar to the one we just did, but now we're just gonna be flicking off target while ADSing. All right. So we're gonna pick these two targets here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start on one. We want to flick off of him and move on to the next one. And the whole goal of this is to get pretty close to center mass. It's not gonna be perfect. If you're over here, that's fine. But what we want to do is we want to limit ourselves from overshooting and having to readjust. All right. So I'm starting here in the middle. Here, able to switch targets here, left and right. So this is gonna help again if you're shooting at an enemy and you see another one coming up. Not overshooting. All right. So again, if we go from this target to way over here, that's terrible centering. We're gonna go here and then we have to adjust all the way back on a target, and that time it's gonna take is more than likely that enemy's gonna kill us. All right, so we want to keep this relatively pretty close to staying on target without overshooting. Same thing with this. You do the ADS and just stay in that. Same thing with this. We don't want to be overshooting. All right, overshooting is no good. If you're overshooting your target, sensitivity is way high. Lower it. If you guys found any value in today's video, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel to stay up to date on more tips and tricks and controller settings guides. If you guys are struggling getting kills or want to perfect your aim, click on this video here. And as always, chase your dreams because your dreams will chase you. Peace.